Ghost reporting. I'm all over it. Never know what hit him. Somebody call for an exterminator? You called down the thunder. Now reap the work. I'm gone.
Welcome back to the channel, Helldivers. Today we're going to be making a stealth loadout in light of the new update that has come to Helldivers 2. Now, prior to that update, when somebody would tell you that they were a stealth diver, you just kind of look at them and be like, oh honey, that's cute. Well, run along now to your tier 3 and tier 4 missions. The adult Helldivers, we're going back to tier 10. But no guys, now you kind of got to take those stealth divers seriously. And thankfully, even though the minor order, the special order that came up with the commando missions, that is over. But these commando missions are still in the game, meaning I don't think this is a FOMO thing coming from Arrowhead. And hopefully down the line, these commando missions get expanded to the squids and the bugs. And this loadout here that we're going to talk about today should be applicable to those factions as well. But with all the rambling out of the way, let's get started. Now, first up, we're going to talk about our equipment, and the kind of like the mantra that we're going with for this loadout is we're going to build like Rambo, not Solid Snake. Now, why do I say that? Stealth is viable in the game, completely, 100%, but with 3 other random Helldivers, you're not going to be stealthing the entire time unless you're a coordinated effort, or again, if you're solo. So that's why we need something for that run and gun scenario as well. So let's keep that in mind as we're making this loadout. Primary weapon, we're going with the sensor. This is basically just a silenced diligence. So if you already like the diligence, this sensor here is amazing. And this is one of those weapons where if you're landing your headshots, man, this thing absolutely slaps. But if you don't like the light penetration on it against the bots, and I completely understand that, I think the Diligence Counter Sniper works just fine for this theme, and so does the Deadeye. But if you haven't noticed, we're also taking a little bit of inspiration from those StarCraft Ghosts, so I would stick with the sensor here, the Diligence Counter Sniper, or just the regular Diligence. For our secondary weapon, I think we have a lot of flexibility, and it is kind of like a choose whatever you're most comfortable with. I always like something like the Senator or even the Talon because calling down a resupply and ammunition, a little bit limited on these commando missions. So the Talon is a great choice, but we also need the ability to destroy buildings like fabricators on the go, readily available. So the grenade pistol here, absolutely awesome, and so is the ultimatum. I would stick with one of those for secondaries. I think they work with the theme that we're going for. The ultimatum, not my favorite actually, because it does have very limited ammo, but it's very unwieldy. I have killed myself way too many times with the ultimatum, and I'm just like, fuck this weapon. So the 2 explosive weapons or secondaries that we're talking about here, grenade pistols is definitely my favorite, and if I don't feel like bringing something explosive in my secondary slot, I'm probably just sticking with either, again, the Talon or the Senator. And for our throwables, I've kind of been sticking with either a grenade that has a large capacity, meaning we can carry a lot of the grenades, or I've been sticking with anti-tank grenades. So the lure mine here is actually a lot better than I initially thought it was going to be. This is a really good anti-tank mine, and so is the thermite. So those are, again, the 2 anti-tank grenades that I've kind of been bouncing between. But just for generally having a lot of grenades to throw that can do some crowd control and destroy fabricators. The Pyrotech grenade here, I've done a complete 180 on. I initially did not like this grenade at all, but it is really good against the bots because their devastators are more likely to stay in place. They don't have great mobility, so you can chuck one of these down under them and it's gonna cook them all. And then yeah, you have 6 of these to throw into fabricators. It's perfect. So with this, that's the equipment out of the way. Let's move on to the stratagems. Actually, nope, not stratagems. We need to talk about the armor, because the armor passive here, this is one of the most important parts to the loadout that we're talking about today. We need reduced signature. You get this from the latest Warbond, and this makes it so the enemies have a extremely hard time in detecting you. I'm using the medium armor variant because it has more of a futuristic, again, StarCraft Ghost look to it, a little more high tech. And so yes, you need this armor passive for this build to work. The other, I would say, stealth passives that we have, they're pretty good. And if you don't have the Warbond, sure, take those. But if you have the Warbond, take this. Now, let's move on to the stratagems. Moving on to our stratagem choices here, and we get a lot of good picks because with the Commando Missions, we are very limited on what we can call down, meaning the blue equipment here. This is going to be more valuable, in my opinion, than something like Eagle airstrikes and orbitals, although I will say those can still be really effective because during the mission, you get one time you can call your Super Destroyer in for a minute, and you can use any stratagem that you have available. It's really good for extractions, or if there's a fortress and you want to throw down an orbital laser, that works really well. But for us, we're going to be sticking with a lot of, again, the blue stratagems here. And the first one is the C4. Now, this is for when you open up the mission and you want to be stealthing around. Now, this C4 pack here, really good, but kind of a big investment where it is a stratagem backpack and a weapon at the same time. That's a large investment. On top of that, you only get a couple C4s to throw. Was it 7 or 6? And the ammo crates on the ground for the missions, they only give you one C4 back. So while this stratagem here is really good, it does have some drawbacks, but it is a lot of fun. You can destroy an entire base with it without alerting any of the enemies, and it feels really good to destroy, again, something like a heavy fortress or like a medium outpost, something like that. A lot of fun to use just the C4 for that. So we're taking this for that stealth aspect. But going back to our mantra that we were talking about, build like Rambo, not Solid Snake. We need a weapon and some support when shit hits the fan. So stratagem weapon wise, we're going with the railgun. Heavy hitter, kind of like a sniper, kind of again feeling towards that StarCraft Ghost side. I really like the railgun for the automaton missions. You could go with the AMR as well, but the railgun, this thing can kill fabricators, and I'm just vibing with this more than the AMR right now, so railgun is my choice for a stratagem weapon. We're also going to pair the railgun with the supply backpack, if I can ever find it. Here it is. This essentially lets you use the railgun as your primary weapon the entire time. Heavy hitter, just spam all the bullets, make sure you're charging up to as close as you can to the maximum, and let it rip. It feels so good to destroy Hulk after Hulk with the railgun, and then when it comes to something like a factory strider, just make sure to disable its top cannon and then the two Gatlin sentries on the front, and you can just take out the fabricators with your team in whatever way possible. And in this case, we have something like the lure mines, the thermite, gonna make really quick work of those fabricators. But we have one more stratagem slot left, and I kind of hinted at it at the beginning of the video here in the intro, but we are going to be taking the solo silo, and this thing is good for when you have a convoy of fabricators and you can just nuke one of them with this. Now, you also saw in the intro there that sometimes these solo silos, they will get caught on trees and not hit your mark, and that kind of sucks, but it is like a nuclear launch detected moment. So I feel like the solo silo, it just kind of works with the theme, but if you don't want to take it, completely fine. Honestly, the last slot, kind of up to you. Sentries, I kind of stay away from them, but actually the anti-tank emplacement, if you land near your extraction, just throw one of these down at your extraction, and by the time you guys are going back and finishing the mission, and maybe you have some bots coming in and you got to defend, having a emplacement there to help defend, oof, it's pretty freaking crucial. It's really good, actually. Not a lot of people I see using the emplacements like that. Additionally, I already mentioned that the orbital laser, or I guess in any of the orbitals, but really the orbital laser, it's going to put in a lot of work for you as far as just being a heavy hitter that you can only throw down twice during the mission. So that's an option as well. But the locked in choices, definitely the C4, railgun, supply backpack, and then the last one's kind of up to you. So now let's move to the overview and kind of how this build all comes together. So for the overview section, obviously at the start of the mission, call down everything. Your supply backpack, your C4, your railgun, and whatever your last choice was, or find a place to use something if you have, like, again, that orbital laser. We're going to be starting off every mission trying to be as stealthy as possible. So that means taking that C4 backpack around. Don't worry, you can leave your railgun and your supply backpack unless one of your teammates take it, so keep an eye on them. But other than that, trying to stay as stealth as long as possible. And the idea is to take a couple objectives, basically until you run out of C4s and you can't find any more ammunition to resupply them. So once you're done going around solo or with a coordinated team and it's time to go in guns blazing, go ahead and go find your railgun in your supply backpack, link back up with your team, and it's just like playing normal Helldivers at that point. And this loadout is very forgiving because thankfully our equipment, that the choices that we made there, they're going to cover every single enemy in the game, especially if you take an anti-tank grenade, because our primary weapon always should just be good at clearing out chaff. Our secondary, I'm favoring the grenade pistol in this instance, great for taking out fabricators in other buildings. And then again for our grenade slot there, something that's anti-tank, something heavy that can take out those massive targets, something like a fabricator, war strider, hull. We all have it covered with our equipment. But if we keep our head on a swivel, we can just use the railgun the entire time to wipe out any enemy that we come across. So going over the loadout one more time, stay as stealth as long as you can using something like the C4, maybe the solo silo as well. And then when stealth is no longer an option, bust out the railgun and get the job done. Alright y'all, that is the loadout, that is the video. Let me know how you all like the redacted Warbond overall and the new update to the stealth mechanics. It is a little ironic that stealth was one of those issues or pain points from the community, and lo and behold, Arrowhead has provided us a solution in the form of a Warbond. And they kind of do this all the time as far as like we have an issue and then they sell us the solution. It's not a big deal to me, but it is funny at this point. It is another point on the graph where we can draw a line and be like, okay, that's just kind of the way they do things in this game, which, oh well. But anyways, that is the video. If you made this far, I appreciate you, and I will see you guys next time. Peace and take care.